Hi, I'm Major General Datuk Seng. I'm from the Army and I have served for 41 years. I'm now presently the Commandant of the National Resilience College, or known as NRC. So NRC actually trains brigadiers and colonels of the Malaysian Armed Forces, the three services, and also corps members from foreign countries. And this year we've got 24, of which 7 are overseas corps members. It's a good question. I think my ambitions, unlike my other siblings, have always been consistent. Even as a young boy in school, I was interested in war movies, and I actually wanted very much to join the army. People do not understand why at that time. And I know my parents, my mother was against it, my father was supportive because they lived through the wars. And I know when I got selected to join the Royal Military College, that was the start of my army career. My mother, I think she silently prayed that I would change my mind, but I never did. So that was in '83, and I got accepted to join the military in '84 and went to the Royal Military College in Sungai Besi as a regular intake 25. The training was supposed to be for 2 years, but I was very fortunate because after a year and a half, I was selected to undergo further military training at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst in England, in the United Kingdom, and I underwent further military training there and graduated in December 1986 into the Malaysian Army because I got a Queen's Commission then. So I graduated and they selected me to be in the infantry, the Royal Ranger Regiment. So I served in the 2nd Ranger Regiment, my first unit, and over the years, I've served 41 years now. I've done many positions, and ultimately I was a brigade commander in 2018. That was the highlight of my military career. I was a commanding officer in 2003. At that time, I was probably one of the youngest. I was only 36, coming to 37, and it was always, if you are in the military, command is always the best. People dream of being a commander. So if you read the book by Slim, Defeat into Victory, one of the best 4 commands, he always said a platoon commander, because you know your men more than your mother do, their mother too. Commanding officer, you have a battalion, some 600 men. And then a brigade commander, got 3 brigades under me and all that. And of course, now as I end my journey almost towards the end, my twilight years in the military, I'm the commandant of the foremost or the most senior institution in the Malaysian Armed Forces. So it's very good to be here because it's a different arena. It's all about academic, it's about strategic studies, security studies, which is always evolving. So I'm the commandant and I meet so many eminent speakers, ministers, and who give their views. So it's a very mature course. But I would like to say that my military career has been very colorful. I would not have got the education that I had in the military, I think, if I had ventured somewhere else. So I'm also an alumni of Sandhurst. I went grade 2 in New Zealand, the Staff College and Masters in Australia, Thailand for the ASEAN Development Leadership Program, Korea for 2 years, I can speak and write Korean, and finally Spain. So the army actually gave me very good education. And not only that, I belong to 6 alumni and have many good friends all over the world. So I've written something before to encourage Chinese youth to join, because the experiences that you get in the military cannot be measured in monetary terms. And furthermore, there's no greater honor than serving together with your men and women for our beloved country. So it's an enormous experience and something that I'm very proud to do. I was consistent, and I was lucky because my father supported me, so did my granddad, because they went through the Japanese occupation. And at that time when I joined, we were still fighting the communists. And then for Chinese family, if you're the eldest son, you're like a treasure in their family. So they encourage, some of the family discourage you to join the army or police because for fear of losing you, basically. And my mother, being a mother, so she, like I said, silently prayed, and she was sad, she cried and all that. But I said, don't worry, Mom, I'll be all right. You don't cry in front. So I joined in and I never looked back, but I made sure that I write letters those days. The letters is in my family scrapbook, so, and what she wrote. And I make sure that I go back whenever I can and keep them abreast of what's happening. And then when I got invited to go to Sanders, she was even sadder because I wouldn't be able to come back. And she was worried because it was my, I think, first overseas trip to UK. It was cold and all. She was worried about me. I said, no, I'm looking forward to that. I was proud, very proud. My family too. I knew what to expect because, but the good thing is I had military training. Even before I joined RMC, I was in the cadet corps in the school. I know the basics. And having had training in RMC for about a year and a half, I was already exposed to all the basics. So I had the advantage. And when I went to Sanders, the philosophy is the same. The motto is serve to lead. You know, Sanders and RMC, same, serve to lead. And Sanders is all about integrity, working hard, playing hard, and enjoying hard. And it's fabulous because it's 4 seasons. You know, you experience all different conditions. But I must say, the British, especially the senior instructors, the NCOs, non-commissioned officers, and my platoon commanders, they're all very, very fair. They treat everybody the same, even if you're the king, King Hussein was trained there. So we have a lot of other overseas cadets as well, and I was accompanied by Nazri, same intake. So there's 2 of us, but I was in a different company. But we always we are very close till now. Of course, the present CDF, Datuk Nizam, he also went to Sanders, same intake, but he went earlier. He's much smarter. That's why he's a CDF. But it was good. It was one of the best experience because, like, Sanders and British, you only see in books and comics before, but you're right there. And the British, they're fair, they work hard, they train hard, and they always have humor in everything that they do. And they always believe in fairness and impartiality, and they treat you just like one of them. And if you are honest, let's say if you're weak in running, because in the winter when we do our, you know, the nose and all that, they understand it, but they say, improve further. So it's really a very good place. In fact, King Hussein once said that Sanders is the best place for someone to learn to be a king. Humility. You learn the discipline. You learn how to manage your time, and above all, as a leader, what you're supposed to do. And they treat you in Sanders, and they always believe that when you are in war, there's no second chance. So we train very hard, the British Army. And then when I went there, I had a lot of, like, my platoon commander and the color sergeant went to the Falklands at that time, the war. You see, so they're all battle hardened, and it's always the same. So Sanders was and still is one of my best experiences as a young boy, because the communists have not surrendered at that time. Okay. Firstly, we had the first emergency, 48-60. 1948-60 was the first emergency, right? Then the second emergency, which we like to term as the second emergency against the communist terrorists, was 1968, right, till 1989. Why 1968? I think they were encouraged by events taking place in Vietnam, you know, all that. So those days, domino theory was up. So there was a revival, and there were a lot of contacts, casualties. And during my time, it was towards the tail end, as I say, they have not surrendered. So we still conducted operations in the border, and then like places like Pahang, Sungai Ruan, all these areas, and that's why we had the border, you know, in Crow, we had the border 304 series, Tania, and all overlooking this sasaran penting. But what I'm trying to say is that we had 2-3 years involved in these operations. At that time, even the police were doing that, the threat was like that, so we had to do this. It's called operations. At that time, we were really fighting an enemy, communists, the Communist Party in Malaysia, and you know, and then when we found their camps, they live in the jungle for so long, they have a way to survive. They even have like a jungle, a stream, a place to bathe, and they were seasoned fighters, but always it's towards the fringe. That's why dulu ada, you know, the white areas, the black areas, the BRICS plan to detach or to, you know, because they get support from their sympathizers. All of them surrendered. They've actually moved back to society. I still remember I went for a course where it's a cost lah. And when I was in the UC's platoon, conducted by the intelligence, but some of the instructors were actually surrendered communists. They teach us how to survive and how they do their tactics in the jungle, moving, using back to deceive us. It's all about deception. It's all about surviving in the jungle, because there's a saying, jungle is neutral. No friend or foe. Jungle doesn't recognize you friend or foe. So you got to be able to be, they have the ability and skill to move in the jungle, okay, and then to survive, but also the ability to track the communists. That's why sometimes there's contact, diorang lari kan. So we have to follow up. So dogs sometimes, even if dogs, the snake goes away when they go into the rivers, or sometimes they will, they will disperse. They will disperse and then point. Yeah. So a lot of tactics those days. So, and it's beautiful inside. But of course, you operate from what you know, and then those sergeants or those people in your platoon who've been there long, they teach me about the other things. They call it petua. Okay. Petua in the jungle, where you need not do this, because there are like elements of the not supernatural, but the unseen beings. And there are cases, even when as a CO, people get lost, sections get lost, then they appear back. Then they tell you stories, they was following something and all that. So I won't say that I believe or I don't believe, but I respect, and I do. If it is not hurtful to me, if they say this, like what they say, if you want to pass motion, put nenek tolong, tepi, cucu ni, or whatever, all that. I just say it, right? So it doesn't, I do that because there are other things which my sergeant always said, if you want, that time I was tuan, kita jangan pandang belakang, kita keluar, always on your left foot, and then don't turn back. If somebody calls you or what, that, okay. I think there are scary times where there was one incident in Kuala Kubu Baru. Kuala Kubu Baru, a lot of orang asli graves. I know orang asli got Batang Pinang and all that, but I remember one incident where we heard bamboo, old bamboo, like crack of bamboo, like, so we thought it was the enemy. So we stand to, in the jungle is stand to, so everybody, I was like, I grip on the rifle grip and this one, until like my hand came numb, still waiting, then there was nothing. And there were also times where the platoon was like disturbed by something, and we did not know what it is. And then my sergeant said, we got to move, ini laluan don't know what and all that. So when I recall back, I think that's quite true, something. And then I also have seen, I don't know whether it's true or not, but soldiers behaving mysteriously. And then, yeah, but those were the days. And I think over the years, even when you go to certain areas and all that, this para-phenomenal, it's not that I believe, but because somebody else believes, so I just respect their belief and try not to think about it. Even when I was a brigade commander, I tell you a story. I was staying in Junako camp. It's a very old camp, right inside the jungle, near the this Rumah Panjang and all that, and there were two rivers. And they say that, the place, how you say keras in English? well, when this, yeah, or strong, but they say there's something, sir, you got to be careful. So sometimes you hear things and all that which you want to believe or don't want, but I keep telling my chief of staff, I'm the Panglima, I'm the brigade commander, I have to stay here. I cannot say I'm scared. How can your leader of all be scared? So I just make dono and just get on with it. The Korean experience was like, before this college was only established in 2019, they call it the higher learning for senior officers. Before we had this college, NRC, we sent officers high ranking to United States War College, NDU they call it. But in my case, I was selected to attend Korea. 2016-17, why? Because I had to study Korea, the Korean language for 1 year, and then attend this NDU, the security course. So it was really, I was proud, but I didn't know what to expect. And it was quite hard learning Korean because I cannot speak Chinese well too. So over there, I had to learn Korean. But the Koreans are really dedicated. We went to a proper school, and they don't care whether you're general or colonel. It depends on your skill. So 1 week you do well, and then your level is here, you go to the 3rd class with the cadets, young people. And the teachers are so dedicated that exams and all that, when the students fail, we just relax. The teachers cry, oh, my students fail, my students fail, you know. So 1 year of so solid, and I learned fast because you're there. You're there and you learn the language with the locals. And there was one incident, the teacher always said, you want to learn the language, weekend you go out, mix and talk to the Koreans. Yeah, I feel very proud. It's probably one of my last postings. I've been done 41 years because the National Resilience College is the foremost or the highest institution of the Malaysian Armed Forces. And we train senior colonels and brigadiers, generals. So now we've opened it to overseas course members. So we have 7 this year. And our dream when we get a new building is to open it to civilians, you know, so that they learn about security issues and how. So it's very proud because we get practitioners, ministers, eminent speakers, and it's always, it's like 80% practitioners and 20% academicians. And then this is jointly run by our National Defence University Malaysia. So here we adult learning environment, so we get first-hand information or experiences from them. Because security issues are evolving, always. And contemporary security and other issues will just appear. So we do study firsthand, and this college also complement, I'd say, the national security policy. Like, for example, they have 9 pillars. So last year our theme was on the good governance. This is on the 9th pillar, which is on international recognition, on how Malaysia can position itself to influence and you know, and do our peace, which is at the forefront of our foreign policy orientations. But how Malaysia can position itself and to extend peace and friendship to everyone in the world. I think the biggest threat for us is the asymmetric ones, the non-traditional. It could be anything. Terrorism, possibly. You know what happened in Ulu Tiram last year? The mistaken belief and, you know, the distorted myth. So I think the police are doing well. They know the de-radicalization. They're all humans. Then there are the others, like the cyber threats that can cripple as we grow, we advance in technology and we become dependent, including our defense system, our transportation system. So when you talk about cyber, there's a blurred distinction. What constitutes a cyber attack or what is an act of war? So you need a certain level. That's why then now with AI, and then now with other things, you know, the non-traditional, you know, borders. ASEAN is very good. We will not have, I don't think, you know, but the threats come through. You know, the other non-human smuggling, trafficking, drugs, and those are all very damaging, right? So, and even threats to our interests, I mean our jungles, you know, around Ceroboh, all these are threats. So sometimes the military, like I say, one general used the military is like the air that you breathe. Sometimes you cannot see them, you don't even know what they're doing, but just like the air you breathe. If they're not around, then you're in trouble. So you must understand what we are doing.